Right, hello YouTube. So as I promised in my last video, I'm making a video about this build, and to be honest, I was considering not making video about this build because it's probably the most expensive build I've played so far, and I just don't think it's worth it, the investment. If you wonder what's the investment, it's around 40 divines at the moment for all the items, but I was running into a problem that items for some reason are just so goddamn expensive. Like, not even that impressive items are really expensive. So everything just basically feels like everything skyrocketed in price. And that's probably one of the reasons why this build is so expensive. So, the build. What it essentially is, it's a crossbow build on a witch hunter, and I'm utilizing rapid fire for my single target and explosive shot for clearing. But there's one thing, I'm not sure if it's bugged or not. I found out about it recently. Because the functionality of the rapid shot. You basically, as you shoot, you get these stacks of heat. And heat, as the line says, each point of heat gives you 7% damage as extra fire per heat. So 7% per heat, and this is just for the rapid fire and or the rapid shot, and 6% for grenades. But if you actually start shooting, and I'm gonna showcase it, there's gonna be the heat stacking up there going up, but the DPS wouldn't actually increase. However, it wouldn't increase here in the DPS sheet, but if you click on this and then start shooting, it would increase this number. So yeah, I don't know, it's probably not bugged, but at the same time I thought the build's gonna have a lot of single target damage, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't, and I'm wondering why. So maybe it's just because I'm doing physical and fire hybrid and not scaling it with the meta way, like lightning damage and hand of wisdom and action. But even if I consider the fact that I'm not scaling it with this meta way, I think I should have much more damage, but I just don't. And yeah. Quickly show you the bug. As you can see, the DPS on the left doesn't increase, but on the right it does. And yeah, the DPS increases, and if you wonder why it increased a lot, it's because I'm using certain skill gem. But alright, I might as well show you the gems now, right? So, for the rapid shot, it's linked with primal armament, heft, for more maximum physical damage, fresh clip, and this is probably the best crossbow support gem, and yeah, it increases your damage by quite a lot, and it works in a way basically that it says for each bolt you reload it in past 6 seconds, you get 1% more damage. So the faster your attack speed is, the more damage you get from this support gem, fresh clip. So this essentially gives you a lot more damage on your high attack speed crossbow skill, right? Then close combat, because you want to stay up close to the enemy. So because at range, as you can see, the crossbow bolts just spread a bit. And martial tempo for more attack speed. And if you're wondering, the attack speed, increased attack speed, and modifiers to increased attack speed and skill speed also increase your reload speed. And reload speed also basically counts for arrows per minute. So basically getting more attack speed makes you fly through the bolts more quickly, and getting more reload speed also does make you like reload more bolts per minute or per second, right? So fresh clip gives you more and more damage for each bolt. Then, for single target, I try to scale a lot of AoE, and yeah, this skill, for some reason, has a base AoE of 3 meters, and I don't know why, just, well, why this skill has this insane base AoE if you compare it to like mace skills. Not even Hammer of the Gods has this 3 meters AoE, and it's a skill with what, like 23 seconds cooldown. I think this AoE should be like maybe baseline for every mace skill to counteract the fact that, for example, Rolling Slam has a base AoE, the second portion, I think 1.8 meters, and the first portion, the way it looks like playing on a warrior with Rolling Slam, or the way it feels like, at least to me, how it felt like, was the first portion of the Rolling Slam knocks enemies down because of the heavy stun, and the other portion just completely misses them because the monsters get knocked back so heavily that they are out of your second portion of Rolling Slam AoE, right? So I think AoE like this should be on most of melee skills at least, or especially on Rolling Slam. But yeah, that's just balancing issue, right? Things like these are gonna get fixed. And yeah, so the links are Scattershot for more projectiles, and yes, the AoEs from more projectiles overlap and deal more damage. No, not deal more damage, but they basically overlap, so you can overlap with 3 AoEs at the same time. Then Fire Infusion to get damage as extra fire. Armor Explosion because I'm building into exploding armor in this build. So, as I said, I'm kind of split between fire and physical damage, but it's mostly fire. And yeah, so another one is Execute, just because I didn't take Culling Strike in the end on the Witch Hunter skill tree. So yeah, the reasoning for this is because I'm shooting basically three bolts at the same time. Well, sometimes what happens is the first one deals like 60% of the mob's health, and the other two, in that case, if the first one removed 60% of the mob's health, the other two get the damage multiplier of 40%, right? Because they're on low life, right? So that's why I'm using Execute, and because I didn't know what else to put in. Maybe if you don't need a lot of AoE, you can use Conk Effect, right? And then I'm using for the last one Magnified Effect. And if you're wondering what's the AoE on my armor explosion, or on my explosion, it's 5.1 meters. Quite big, right? Like half a screen. Initially this build, I thought I'm gonna make a bossing / ritual build, but I'm kind of looking forward to my next build, so I think I'm gonna just sell this one and call it a day. Yeah, then I'm using All Grenade mainly for the exposure. So it's linked with, for the fire exposure that is, linked with Strip Away, Payload, what's this one? Encumbrance, or how should I read this one? Yeah, whatever. More slow magnitude, right? And Culling Strike. Whatever, just put in what you basically want. Then Emergency Reload, great skill, linked with Ingenuity for cooldown reduction, Murderous Intent for basically it empowers your bolts, and the empowered bolts have Killing Strike. Premeditation for empowered skills, 15% more damage, obviously, and just whatever I put in Inspiration. Then Flash Grenade, I occasionally drop this on rares or maybe bosses just for the stun build-up. Linked with Discombobulate for base build-up. Life Thief for life leech. Chance to bleed, just for whatever reason. I think in PoE 2 bleed also counts as ailment, and I'm running some things with damage to against enemies affected by ailment. So yeah, this basically can sometimes help a bit, but whatever, right? Just basically a placeholder. This is not gonna break the build if you put in something else. And maim. Yeah, and for the auras, I'm using Herald of Ash for clear, linked with Herbalism and Cannibalism. Cannibalism is a great support. If you're running basically a life build, I don't think I'm gonna ever run life build without this support gem, so Cannibalism just feels great. And now the interesting stuff is it's Scavenged Plating, because as I said, and I'm gonna cover that in the skill tree section and gear. I'm running basically pure armor build, and also breaking armor. So scavenge plating, since it was buffed, this was a no-brainer. It's basically 70% more armor at all times. Linked with persistence, so the duration is longer, and physical, because I don't currently have enough strength for the gem to be level 18, and the level 18 has a breakpoint because it gives what, 5%. The quality gives another 2, and with level 17 I would get only 6%. Then the last one is Overwhelming Presence for reduced stun threshold and element threshold. And sorry, I'm gonna do quickly this trade. And yeah, let's do this quick trade. And then I'm gonna continue with the items, and last I'm gonna do the skill tree. Alright. Thank you /DND. Alright. I said I'm gonna do the items. Yeah, so I'm using 2 sets of crossbows. One is for single target, one is for your explosive shot. And yeah, basically for the single target, as I said, you want as much attack speed as you can, so I wouldn't really care about the flat damage a lot, because you get a lot of flat damage because of your rapid shot. And the rapid shot, unless it's not bugged, it's probably not bugged, but as I said, my damage feels just not where it should be. So maybe it is, maybe it is not, I don't know. It's for you to find out, guys. So yeah, the main priority is, of course, you need to get some flat damage, but the main priority probably should be attack speed. That's why I socketed in attack speed runes, so I get 2.1 attacks per second as a flat. That is a lot. And the best base is probably this Bombard crossbow, because it has the highest reload time, or the fastest reload time, and highest attack speed. And ideally you would get basically what you can. If you can get one with a lot of flat damage, then get one with a lot of flat damage. And if you can get one with less flat damage, but being it split between fire and physical as mine has, it's fine. But really the core stats are attack speed and a lot of increased elemental damage with attacks. And yeah, as much flat damage as you can. Either physical or fire, doesn't really matter. The physical is gonna make your life easier with the leech stuff, and the fire is gonna essentially give you more damage. So yeah, it's up to you. Basically get what you can, right? But something like that, but with better rolls. And the other crossbow for explosive shot, here I wanted to go more with the physical, so basically getting more flat damage and less oriented to attack speed. It's still nice to get good amount of attack speed, because it makes the clearing be like smoother, but there is one crucial thing on this crossbow. It's getting at least one the loads an additional bolt modifier, because essentially what it does, it loads 2 bolts instead of 1, so I can shoot 1, 2, and now reload, 1, 2, and now reload. Right? Because the explosive shot normally loads just 1 bolt. Yeah, and I know that there's another base that gives you the additional bolt as an implicit, but there's a drawback that it has really low reload time. So I think it should be fine, but yeah, basically get that one with some increased attack speed, or get this one with less attack speed, but the loads additional bolt as a modifier. I don't know, I didn't try the other one, and I think it should feel fine, but yeah, you're gonna reload for quite a long time. So, but you're gonna shoot more bolts. Well, up to you, as I said. So these are the crossbows. For the helmet, I'm using through steel, because on my last build, the Queen of the Forest one, I still got it for farming breaches, and I had quite a lot of movement speed, so with this build I didn't want to jump to like 25 movement speed build from almost 90% movement speed build. So I'm using a thrill steel to get onslaught. That is 20% skill speed and 10% actions movement speed. So thrill steel, and for this build, if you want to run these auras, you need and the supports, you need the 20 spirit corruption, or to get it elsewhere on the gear. And yeah, the thing I forgot about the skills, for single target I'm using this swap. I'm just turning off my Herald of Ash and using attrition for basically more damage against enemies based on the time they were in your presence, and also gives you Culling Strike against them. But yeah, this I think this should be buffed, maybe like half the duration you need for the monster to be in your presence. So instead of every 2 seconds, make it every 1 second, and even then still probably wouldn't be all that great, because essentially what you want to do in PoE is just to go into the arena and obliterate the boss. But yeah, this, if you're low on damage like I am, this should help you with some kind of long fights. So this is the single target swap. Now the helmet was covered. For the armor, basically I went for the armor and invasion rating base, because I feel like they're cheaper and you can get the implicit for resist. And I also think this base looks really cool. When you look at the character, the scarf, or whatever you would call it, the skirt, I think the character looks really cool. So, and my MTXs from PoE 1 are currently not supported, so yeah, I went for the hybrid base mainly for the looks of the character. And yeah, basically as much armor and evasion as you can get, resist, life, that's it. Gloves, as much armor as you can get, resist, that's it. Ideally you would get good life roll instead of the physical damage. I wasn't able to get them, and yeah, basically gloves like these, for some reason, I don't think people are building into armor, and gloves like these for some reason are just expensive. I bought these for, I think, 4 divines, and I really don't think they're worth 4 divines. So yeah, for some reason, even armor items are just inflated in price, and yeah, that's basically a topic for another time. But yeah, something like these, ideally with life. The boots, basically the same story, but you need to prioritize movement speed, of course, and then resist, armor, and ideally life, with actually chaos res, because I'm gonna get to it later, because I'm using ingenuity, and this 25 chaos res should be enough to keep me on the chaos res. So yeah, you need to get chaos res somewhere. You can switch the stats basically between boots and gloves, basically what you find cheaper, you get that, right? So then for the rings, I'm using these 2 rings. Basically prefixes are as much flat physical and as much flat fire as you can get, then at least 1 with accuracy, then the strength on this ring isn't all that important, but I wasn't able to get a better one. And you need on your rings, probably, maybe you could get it on your crossbows, but you need somewhere to have physical damage, attack damage, leech test, life, and mana, because this is what fixes all of your mana issues during mapping, and really helps you. The mana leech helps you with the mana issues even on bosses, but you still need to press mana flask on bosses even though you have this leech, because your base attack damage for rapid shot is just so low. It's 38%, so you still need to press mana flask on bosses. And yeah, so basically get something like this ring, or get some kind of different ring, or basically swap the stats between the rings as you see fit, what is cheaper, what is not. But yeah, something like this. Again, basically the same story. Ideally maximum life, flat fizz, flat fire, some resists, and actually chaos res. And you need at least one dexterity or one strength roll on your rings, because it gets increased by ingenuity, and to basically satisfy the needs of some skills, because I'm not, if I swap weapons, I'm not at the same strength, and 163 strength is the minimum I need for 164 strength. It is the minimum I need for level 17 strength gems. So I'm basically exactly there. And if I would level this scavenged plating up, it would get turned off as soon as I switch to my basically offhand for clearing, because I wouldn't have enough strength. Yeah, so get a stat, probably ideally on your rings. And by the way, if you're wondering, this, I'm using the attack catalysts, and the attack catalysts increases all of these 5 attack modifiers on the ring. So that's why I wanted it to have on the ring, because it increases the flat physical, flat fire, the accuracy rating, and both the leeches. So basically all of these 5 stats are 50% stronger, and then I'm using ingenuity to make them 73% stronger, basically. So yeah, and if you want to check at least the tooltip, like it's not really the tooltip doesn't say a lot, but if you want to check it, one ring, for example, on explosive shot on rapid fire is worth about this much DPS, right? Quite a lot. And ingenuity, oh, I'm not able to wield my shit here, but yeah, you get the point. Quite a lot of DPS these rings can give you, right? And yeah, probably the most interesting thing about the build, it's the amulet. I was wondering what amulet can I use, because I was thinking about what would ideal rare amulet look like, and I figured that ideal rare amulet for this build would be just like life and resists and maybe increased armor, or maybe resists, and to me that looked really boring. So I was searching on a wiki for some unique amulets, and I stumbled upon this one, and it actually kind of made me build around this amulet, because on this amulet you can get 3 anointments, and currently I'm anointing breakage, acceleration, and cremation. So yeah, the acceleration, skill speed, quite self-explanatory, just for basically the attack speed for rapid shot and the movement speed. Cremation for effect of exposure you inflict with your oil grenade and for fire penetration. And breakage, that I'm gonna explain in the skill tree section. So let's hop on that one with the breakage like this clicked on. Because of the breakage, well, the breakage is because of this node, Shattering Blow. And the Shattering Blow does break 50% of enemy's armor upon heavy stunning them. So that means if you get 100% increased armor break, you're gonna fully break the enemy's armor when you heavy stun them. And I know about this break armor multiplier, but this break armor multiplier, it's this line right here. Players break 3 times armor against normal enemies and 2 times armor against magic enemies. Yeah, that's true. You basically, to break armor of normal mobs and magic mobs, all you need is just this. But if you wouldn't have these 100% increased armor, you wouldn't actually break 100% armor on a heavy stunning a boss or a rare. So that's why you need 100% increased armor break to basically break 100% of the enemy's armor. So that's 60 for me. And the other 40 is right here. Break 20% increased armor 2 times, makes it 100 total, right? So yeah, I'm breaking 100% armor on heavy stunning an enemy, and that's why I'm built into heavy stunning a bit on the skill tree, and another reason why I went hybrid of physical and fire damage, because physical damage has this initial 50% more armor break multiplier, basically. So yeah, Now, let's explain the skill tree. It's essentially getting increased armor where you can and getting a lot of attack speed. So, to start off, I went this way to get these 2 points for basically this for increased armor and stun threshold. This just because it was nice. It gave me like projectile damage and 5% dex and strength, and it was near, so why not? And yeah, then I went down here to get these nodes. These are quite powerful. Each one of these gives you increased damage with 200 weapons, and guess what? Your crossbow is 200 weapons, so all of these increase your damage. And I took this one, even though it has reduced attack speed, it's only 5%, and there's actually attack speed cap in this game. It's 30.3 attacks per second, and if you get over that, you're actually losing damage. So this 5% attack speed loss wasn't a big deal for my rapid shot, because I think just somewhere near the 30.3 attacks per second cap, actually. So this 5% reduced attack speed is just fine for me. Yeah, and then these weapon swap nodes, absolutely mandatory to get 70% increased weapon swap speed, because as you're running, or basically on bosses, you basically swap your weapons, and yeah, you want this to be as fast as possible. And if you misclick, well, with increased weapon swap speed, you basically, yeah, the weapons want to be faster, so that's the reason. And it's only 2 points, so it's fine. Then I went down here for the stun build-up and lucky damage against heavy stun enemies. And for this, reload speed, I'm using it for both sets, because it actually increases the reload speed for both. And for explosive shot, it's better for clear, and for rapid shot, it's actually single target boost. And yeah, I went down here for iron reflexes, because I told myself that I initially wanted to go like to really feel the witch hunter power fantasy, so I wanted to be pure armor like Juggernaut, smashing vampires and stuff into pieces. But yeah, I don't really know if it's that worth it. I think it is, but it's really not all that worth it. Evasion is just, to be honest, evasion is just better, and I think the only reason why evasion is just better than armor is because evasion works for all types of damage. Doesn't matter if the attack is elemental or if the attack is physical, works for both. And armor just works for physical, right? So, but I still went for iron reflexes. Works kind of nice. I don't have a bad armor, like 5600 armor, and you have to take into consideration that I'm using the scavenge plating, and that means basically at all times 70% more armor. So like around 9k armor while mapping and while bossing also, because you'd be surprised how fast you can stun some of these bosses, even with some not huge investment into stun build-up. So basically I'm around 9k armor, and that's like 70% PDPR estimated, and it feels fine. So I went for iron reflexes, and this thing is actually quite good. That's why you want to get as much armor on your gloves as you can get, because this basically essentially with the iron reflexes, it doubles the amount of armor you have on your gloves. So if I get 525 armor on my gloves, it's basically 525 evasion, and the evasion gets turned into armor, so I basically get the double the flat armor I've got on my gloves. So this node, quite powerful, a lot of flat armor. Then incendiary for basically damage. Yeah, as you basically take all of the damage along the way you can. Fire penetration, good. This node, 60% increased damage against fully broken armor, great. Almost basically everyone is fully armor broken, and the armor break duration is 12 seconds, so you don't have to worry. It's basically 60% increased damage. Then these nodes for increased armor, and then the strength, basically strength requirements on your boots, gloves, and helmets gets turned into armor. So that's why you want to get armor gloves, armor boots, and armor helm. For the helm, it's basically 50%. The 50% strength is, or the 50 strength is 50 armor. Here, the 122 strength is 122 armor, and the same on the boots. And here, since it was near, I went for some increased strength that actually helps you with the strength requirements and stun build up and stun threshold. And yeah, you could go to Arbiter of Fire. It would be more damage. It would probably be more damage, but it would break the whole thing I wanted to do with this build, the physical and fire hybrid. So I didn't go with Arbiter of Fire in the end. And you would have to press your flask during mapping because you wouldn't get any leech because you wouldn't do any physical damage. And yeah, the rest of the tree is this for elemental damage and elemental penetration. And basically get to this. This looks quite interesting, I would say, but it's something PoE 1 players are well used to. And it's getting the unique jewel, the what is it, from nothing? This is Megalomaniac. Yeah, it's the from nothing. And basically what it does, you socket it anywhere on your skill tree, and basically in the small ring around the set keystone, you can allocate points without them being connected to your skill tree. So that's why I can allocate basically, for example, this node, or this node, or this node, right? Without being connected to my skill tree, so I save points. And also, when I decided that I'm gonna do this setup I did on my monk, then I decided to use something like this. Ideally, you would probably get against the darkness with damages extra fire and damages extra lightning, but they cost around 20-30 divines. And why lightning? Well, just because of the fact that lightning damage can shock, and since you attack so goddamn fast with your rapid shot, I think you're gonna be guaranteed to shock on bosses, and it would give you essentially 20% more damage. Yeah, but I'm using it in this slot because I would take a lot of points here anyway, so basically this gives me what, like 4, 8, 12, 16, and what is it? 16? Just 16? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Yeah, so this gives me 20% damage as extra fire. Quite powerful. If I could get my hands on the hybrid one with lightning and fire, you would prioritize the fire damage, but getting at least some amount of lightning damage would be nice for a chance to shock on bosses to increase your single target damage. Yeah, and then I should also cover these green and red lines. It's the weapon swap lines. I'm using almost all of them. It's because some things I don't need on the clear setup and some things I don't need on the single target setup. So for the weapon set 1, this is the red lines, right? So for the weapon set 1, I basically do get as much attack speed as I can get. So I went for this, basically attack speed cluster, and I went down there, another attack speed cluster. And if you're wondering, this is the reason, basically these points are the reason why I have more life on my weapon set 1 than on my weapon set 2, because I'm getting more strength, and strength is essentially life. So yeah, I'm getting these clusters on the weapon swipe 1, and this one down here, also attack speed for the weapon set 1, and this down here for the weapon set 1, just more damage or increased damage against rare and unique enemies. And ideally, the last 3 points, weapon set points, would be probably these 3 to get more attack speed on rares and uniques, basically on bosses, and killing strike threshold. And yeah, for the weapon set 2, for the clear setup, I'm using these points mainly for the area of effect, and this for the area of effect. These 2 because while you're clearing, you're killing monsters all the time, so the movement speed comes in handy. Basically gives you what, like 10? Yeah, 10% increased movement speed while mapping, while clearing, and the attack speed is quality of life also. Again, down there, it's area of effect and area damage. And I think, yeah, blast points were here. Basically get these points to travel up, and projectile damage, and again area damage. And because all of this area damage, this is the reason why my explosive shot is so goddamn big. As you can see, the area of the explosive shot goes like here, so basically half of the screen or 3/4 of the screen. It's as I've shown you, 5.1 meters AoE. Quite good, quite good. Yeah, that's essentially the skill tree, and I almost forgot to show you the rare jewels again. I was trying to get as many rare jewels as I could, and all of these have movement speed, tag damage, damage with crossbows, and attack speed with crossbows. And basically why these? Because, as I said, I was playing Queen of the Forest build, and I didn't want to feel immediately so slow. I wanted to slow down, like, not so drastically, so my movement speed is currently not so bad, almost 48%, and while my ping it's almost 60, right? So my movement speed is not all that bad, and all of these jewels, all of these rare jewels are basically like this. And if you're wondering what's the price of these, usually the price of these rare jewels is around 1 divine, but they're listed for days and days and days. No one basically wants to buy them, and people just don't want to cheapen the price of their items. So yeah, I think people should cheapen the items a lot more than they think, because just basically don't be so greedy, because if you're greedy, you're never gonna sell the item. You're never gonna sell the item, and then yeah, then it's just gonna rot in your stash, and you're gonna find yourself wondering, oh my god, why I don't have any currency? Yeah, it's probably because you're having a lot of these items just laying, rotting in your stash tabs, like composting, and yeah, basically wasted currency, right? So sell it for 90 exalts. Someone's gonna buy it immediately. That's basically what I did. I put them on live search and bought the ones that were for 50, 90 exalts, 100 exalts, yeah. So use your live search and you're gonna get some good deals. But basically all of rare jewels are like this. Movement speed, ideally you would like to divine them to get the attack movement speed to 2 and the other stats to increase also, but yeah, you gotta check it out, right? So again, attack speed, damage with crossbows, attack damage, and movement speed, and all of these rare jewels are like this. This one doesn't have attack speed, unfortunately, my bad. Yeah, but all of them are the same, except these 3 unique ones. And yeah, I almost forgot about this one. This is actually quite good for this build. And I was able to get this one for 2 divines, but yeah, the prices of these items are really weird, because there is so low amount of them then that some of the prices can get quite ridiculous. So I bought this one for, I did get a deal for 2 divines, and basically there was, if I remember, 5 of them online. One was for 5 divines, the other was for 20, and the other was for 50, and one for 2 divines popped up. So I immediately bought it. Great deal. Allocates for me the Armour Break. And this Exposed to Inferno, if you're wondering, is this thing right here. For, again, the exposure effect and fire penetration mainly for your single target, but the fire penetration actually helps you on the clear also. And if you're wondering what's my penetration, I think it should be the same on rapid shot and on the explosive shot. So where is it? Fire penetration 69%, and explosive shot 69% again. Nice. Ho ho ho. Joke. Jesus. Yeah, I almost completely forgot to cover the Ascendancy. Jesus. I'm in a hurry with this video. Sorry about that. But yeah, the Ascendancy, Witchbane, no mercy. And I'm not sure if I understand this node correctly, but essentially what I think it works like is it gives the monsters basically this concentration, and it's based on 30% of their maximum life. So correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, if I remove something like 20 to 40% of the monster's life, maybe isn't it actually the 40%? Yeah, whatever. If you remove basically the whole concentration, they're gonna have less cooldown recovery rate, and that means that, for example, bosses, if they have some skills with cooldowns, that means they're gonna have a bigger cooldowns on those skills, and they're gonna use basic attacks more, or attacks with no cooldown, essentially. So this can translate into basically defense, but not really. But yes, basically a defensive. And this, no mercy. So you deal more damage to enemies based on their missing concentration, and you can see the missing concentration under the health bar. So basically it's 30% more damage. And then I'm using Obsessive Rituals and Ceremonial Ablution. Okay, I think I've never read this one. Yeah, it's basically for the Sorcery Ward. The Sorcery Ward essentially is like another health pool, but only against elemental damage. And for some reason, the Sorcery Ward works just for hits and not damage over time. It's this thing you see right here. So now, unbuffed and without the scavenged plating, I have essentially 2.5k life, like 2.5k additional life against elemental damage hits. And if I have the scavenged plating, I think it goes up to 4k or 4.5k a barrier. And yeah, it removes 50% of your armor, but I don't find this to be a really big issue, because I feel like around 10k armor, I feel like I'm tanky against physical damage, around 10k armor, or around 9 or 8k armor. I think it's fine. So I wouldn't worry so much about the less armor, but if you actually read the functionality of Sorcery Ward, it says that barrier recharges after 8.1 seconds. Yeah, you probably don't want to take this Sorcery Ward without this, because this makes it essentially recover faster and have increased effect. And basically, this is why I can get like 4.5k barrier against elemental damage, because I also have 50% increased effect on the Sorcery Ward, on the shield. And if you're wondering, it says this, 10 to 10% per quality. Yes, that would be nice if you could actually get quality on basically skills that your Ascendancy gives you. Because if you want to use gem cutters, I'm gonna quickly show you so you actually believe me. If you want to use gem cutters on these skills, you cannot. It's doing nothing. You can use it on anything else, for example, oil grenade, right? But not on these skills that your Ascendancy gives you, which is quite unfortunate. You would get an additional 10% like shield. So a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? And I've searched for this, if you can in some different way increase the quality of your Ascendancy skills, but I didn't find anything on the internet, so not even on Reddit. So probably not, you cannot increase it at the moment. If you can, please tell me in the comments how you can increase it. I would be really happy to hear how you do it. And how it works, the recharge, basically, even though it's recharge, it doesn't get interrupted like Energy Shield does. So it makes it be much better than the Energy Shield recharge is, because even if you're constantly taking damage, the recharge isn't stopping, and I think you always recharge to full when you recharge the Sorcery Ward. So if you get like first hit, and let's say you have 2k Sorcery Ward and you get a hit for 1 damage, you start recharging, and while recharging you get hit for additional, let's say, 1000. So now you're at 999 Sorcery Ward, but you're still recharging, and when the actual time for recharges goes off, you recharge back to full. So doesn't get interrupted, and starts immediately when you take any amount of damage. And yes, even when you don't have the scavenge plating or basically conditional effects like increased armor from scavenge plating, if you don't have a ward and then you have more or increased armor, you get basically increased your armor. Then if you conditionally increase your armor with, for example, scavenge plating, then your sorcery ward kicks off immediately. So you immediately start recharging your sorcery ward when you actually increase your armor or evasion. That means increase your sorcery ward. So I've heard a couple of people bitching about this sorcery ward thing, but yeah, when I was playing without the sorcery ward, and when I didn't have it, the build felt insanely squishy. I was insanely surprised how much elemental damage there is. It feels like there's even a lot more elemental damage, and it's a lot more dangerous than PoE 1. So I would highly recommend taking Sorcery Ward, and if you really don't want to take Witchbane and No Mercy, yes, you can get, for example, Pitiless Killer and Judge, Jury, and the Executioner. Yeah, you could, or maybe you could even take Zealous Inquisition and Pitiless Killer, but the one unfortunate thing with Zealous Inquisition is it's probably not an attack, so all of your increased AoE with attack skills doesn't apply for Zealous Inquisition. Even though the Zealous Inquisition has quite good base AoE, the only AoE you can increase it with is just generic increased area of effect. And unfortunately, the attack area of effect doesn't work. That's why I basically respect out of these points and took the Sorcery Ward, and I immediately, like with snap of my fingers, felt like I'm just much more tanky. And yeah, that's probably the build. It looks pretty cool, at least the character looks... I think it looks fucking awesome. The items... Mwah! The items in PoE 2 look really refined, and yeah, just if you want to play the build just for the looks of the character, be my guest. But as I said, my current gear, I bought everything just around 40 divines, and yeah, it's really not worth it for 40 divines. I'm probably gonna leave you with some gameplay of Citadel boss, and yeah, you're gonna see in the gameplay. So I think that's it for now. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. For my next build, I don't know what's it gonna be yet in terms of Ascendancy, but I'm sure I'm gonna try out Maces again, because I've played all the characters now, and not all the Ascendancies, but at least one Ascendancy on every character. And I think I'm gonna just do a loop again and play all of the other Ascendancies I didn't play, and try out new skills again. So, and I'm a bit starved for some melee action, and I'm actually wondering if I can make melee work, because yeah, I'm usually not crying and I don't want to bitch about the game, but I think the maces are by far in the worst spot skill wise, right? So I'm gonna try to do something with maces and see how it's gonna go. Probably on a warrior. So until then, thank you guys for watching, and like and subscribe if you like the video. As I said, I wouldn't recommend this build, but if you really want, be my guest, and bye bye, Exiles.
I have a feeling my luck's about to run out.
Too late. The fourth edict already burns for your word.
Alright, almost immediately died.
Ashes to ashes. Behold.
Alright, good, I survived that.
For this world. Your affliction upon her will soon be erased.
What's this, goddammit? Whoa! Wait. Wait.
Let fear of the void control
Killing strike.
What do you know?
Good. Yeah, I fucking called him. Wait, is this the... No, it depends on the roll, right? But that was so funny the way he just fell over. Alright. Power awaits you? Huh. What's this? Huh?
This power serves a new master.
Alright. What the hell was that? Maybe I shouldn't have done this map. I think I'm gonna first run through the boss. Whoops. Just to increase my chances of completing this. Jesus. What's this one? Why am I not even... Oh, they've got the race shield skill. Fuckers. It really works. It certainly works.
Well, that's one down.
Sapphire ring. Good. 20x. Insane money. Jesus. Oh. Good. It seems they cannot block the grenades, the AoE. Yeah, they just gonna get stunned immediately. Not this one is chunky. Alright, there's the boss. Oh, I should do the... Don't forget about this. Good. And I surely hope I can do the boss. Free stack.
You could bloody well try.
What?
Run, little rabbit.
Well? Probably increased damage and less life recovery. Nah, Jesus, I'm never running less life recovery again. Never ever again. So all of this went to waste.